How do we establish the Patriot connection in America? Friends, welcome to our Last Days Beacon program for today. This is David Schnitker. The purpose of our program, indeed the purpose of our entire ministry, is to equip you as an end-time saint. Thanks for tuning in. I'm taping this podcast on December 19th, 2019, the day after a historic desecration of constitutional government in America. Last night, in a totally partisan vote, the Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives voted to impeach the duly elected President of the United States. The basis of their impeachment was so absurd that it is not worth repeating. Never in the history of our republic has there been an impeachment vote that has been this partisan and so utterly lacking in substance. This is but another coup attempt by the Democrat Party that refuses to accept the outcome of the 2016 election. As we enter 2020, I've come to realize that the Democrat Party has declared war on America. I, in turn, am declaring war on the Democrat Party. I'm going to use every resource available to me at Southwest Prophecy Ministry to combat the anti-American deep state socialists and communists that control the Democrat Party. Starting with today's program and continuing throughout the 2020 election season, I will be devoting many of this year's podcasts to establishing what I am calling the Patriot Connection, to inform and motivate patriots across America, to wage an informational and activist crusade for the very survival of our constitutional republic. I've enlisted in this effort the assistance of a man I've known for many years and for whom I have the utmost respect. This man is an American military veteran. He is a family man with a wonderful wife and two lovely daughters. He is a business owner, but he is also a politically involved patriot who lives in the failed socialist state of California, but yet is unwavering in support of the American First policies of President Donald J. Trump. I have literally known this patriot my entire life. He is not the brother of another mother. He is the brother of my mother. He is my big brother, Richard Schnitker. Richard, welcome to the inaugural program of the Patriot Connection, and tell our listeners a little bit about your service in the U.S. military.
Well, thank you, David. I served in the United States Army, the 90th Military Police Battalion, as a sentry dog handler. I did service in Fort Lewis, Washington, Fort Knox, Kentucky, and Okinawa.
That was back in the Vietnam era, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. I served from 1969 till January of 1971. And then I did 4 years active reserve duty after my 2 years service.
Well, that's great. We do appreciate your service in the military in support of the United States of America. Since then, of course, you've gone on to marry, establish a family, run a business, do all the normal things that busy, successful Americans do. But now, in recent years, you have decided to support in an active way the candidacy and now the presidency of Donald J. Trump. What was it about Donald Trump that was different from other American politicians?
Well, David, we kept having the same politicians year after year, promise the same things every 4 years, and never fulfill any of them. They would come out another 4 years and promise the same thing. Nothing was ever getting done. We were getting deeper in debt, and the divide in the country was getting worse. After 8 years of Obama, we needed something. We needed a disruptor, not another politician. And when Donald Trump came down that escalator, I knew he was a disruptor. We needed someone like that.
He's a plain-spoken American, isn't he?
He is. He is. I immediately volunteered for his campaign. We call it Team Trump. It was a kind of a thrown together, tag rag, not really very organized group of people, but patriots, small in number, but we worked. We did phone banks, we knocked on doors, we put out yard signs, we had booths at the fair, the barbecue, the car shows, anywhere we could, and it seemed to work. Well, this 2020, we're organized, something to deal with. We started out, we needed 3 million volunteers. We had 3 million volunteers by August of 2019, and we are currently almost at 5 million volunteers.
That is a massive army of political activists, isn't it? 5 million strong.
5 million strong. We have 330,000 team leaders. We've had 1,100 leadership training programs across the nation, and those will continue out throughout the 2020.
That's great. Now, I understand, Richard, that you have developed a Facebook page to support Trump and to provide an information depot, you might say, for those who are supportive of Donald Trump. Could you tell us about your Facebook page?
Yeah, my Facebook page is called Patriot Nation. I found that people like short, to the point videos, so I try to load as many videos on the page. You can't dispute a video. You might be able to dispute a newspaper article, but the videos are not edited, and it seems to be growing. I've only had it for a few weeks, and I have over 100 followers. I also have a Twitter page that I've only had a few months, and I've almost got 2,000 followers on that.
That's great. So the Facebook page again is entitled what?
Patriot Nation.
The Patriot Nation. Okay, that's great. And we are going to be posting our podcasts on the Patriot Nation Facebook page also. And it's an opportunity for people to interact with the content, probably provide additional content as well. Just another way of mobilizing patriotic Americans in support of Donald Trump. Well, we're going to take a quick time out here, Richard, to hear from our sponsor. And then we're going to come back and talk more about why folks across the country should be supporting Donald Trump. Friends, we have been producing weekly video podcasts for over 4 years, thanks to your generous support. While that support is still vital, the Lord has provided a commercial sponsor to pick up some of these costs. Our new sponsor is Jingoes. Jingoes is an ultra stain remover and odor eliminator. It attacks organic stains and odors. It is environmentally and user-friendly. My friend Peggy Marzulli writes, I just wanted to tell you that Jingoes really works. What an amazing product you have. A family member had come home and was recovering from surgery. Her stitches opened, which resulted in blood stains in the bedding. I pre-treated the stains with Jingoes before washing the bedding. Wow! It took the blood stains out completely. I really love Jingoes. It's a great product. That is from Peggy Marzulli, wife of L.A. Marzulli. Please stay tuned for more details.
By Jingoes, it's amazingly fresh and clean out here in beautiful New Zealand. G'day America, I'm Tabi, and I want to tell you about my new ultimate stain and odour remover, Jingoes. My Jingoes gunk gobblers will tackle stubborn organic stains and eliminate nasty stinking odours at the same time. Jingoes effectively removes those little accidents like wine, coffee, dirt, blood, grass, even pet stains, and odours like fish, garlic, even skunk. Jingoes is environmentally friendly, safe for use on fabrics, carpet, upholstery, and it works great as a laundry pre-soak on the worst pet or people accidents. Come on America, what are you waiting for? Just go online and order your Jingoes for $12.95 and get a 4-ounce travel pack free. Crikey, pay $19.95 an old W order. That's 2 large jingos and 2 travel packs for just $19.95. Blasted seagulls, where's my jingos?
Welcome back. We have been talking with Richard Schnitker, U.S. military veteran, business owner, and conservative political activist in California. Richard, what are some reasons why Americans of all parties and ethnicities should be supportive of Trump's reelection? He's about 3 years now in. He was, of course, inaugurated in January of 2017, not quite yet 3 years in office, but we have already seen some dramatic improvements in America in every way, shape, or form, despite the continual opposition and witch hunts of the Democrat Party. So let's talk for a few minutes about what you think are some reasons why Americans of all parties, whether they're Democrat, Republican, or Independent, whether they're African American, Asian American, Latinos, or, us poor white folks, why should all Americans be supportive of Donald Trump's reelection?
Well, I've noticed over the years, and especially over the last 8-10 years, the Democratic Party, they're a party of tribes. You have little different groups. You've got your black, your Hispanic, your women against men, your LGBTQs. They're these little groups that they push against each other. For the Trump party is one party. We're all patriots. No one's black, white, women, men, gay. We accept everyone, and there's no labels on us, which is a huge difference. The KKK party, the Democrat Party, are going back to the roots of divide and conquer. You see the infighting that's going on with the different candidates of the Democratic Party. Now Kamala Harris calls others racist because they didn't support her. But their supporters are the Democratic Party. Republicans have nothing to do with that party. So the main thing I see is the Trump party are one party. We don't divide. We're all for one common goal: to make America better, to prosper, to raise our children. The difference is so drastic. I don't know how anybody can't see it.
It's interesting. I became a convert to Donald Trump the first time I heard him, which was in September of 2015, just a few months after he declared for office. And he spoke at the Oklahoma State Fair in an open-air bandstand type of gathering. And really, Richard, I knew nothing about Donald Trump other than what I'd read in the tabloids through the years, and never really had any focus on him as far as his political views. So I just went out of curiosity. And I was part of just a mob of people standing shoulder to shoulder for 2 hours waiting for him. And when he came out and spoke, he had the entire audience in the palm of his hands. And he spoke simply and forcefully about the need to secure our borders for American security, and the need to get rid of these international trade agreements that have offshored so many American jobs and shut down entire industries like the coal industry and the steel industry and the mercantile industry. And he just spoke as an American to Americans, saying that our politicians have betrayed us. We have been misled for too long by imbecilic or traitorous leaders, and it's time to put America first.
Well, they've sold out to Wall Street, to their big contributors. They don't care about the American people anymore. Their wages in the United States have been stagnant for 15, 20 years. Finally, wages are raising. They're rising again. People are seeing this. That's why the deep state, the Wall Street, are fighting against him so much. You know, the open border crowds, where they can get an illegal immigrant to work for a third of what a good paying middle class job would be. They don't mind about sending our jobs to China. It's all about the bottom line with them.
Plus, for the Democrats, they know that illegal immigrants become reliable Democrat voters.
Well, sure, not just voters, but it's more money in their pocketbooks.
Right, absolutely.
Where millions of Americans, we can't survive on $8 an hour, but the illegals will take those types of jobs.
Right. Plus, they'll be supplemented by all kinds of welfare benefits.
Well, true. Well, California is one of the blue states. Is what they call it. Well, it's more than a blue state. It spent $130 billion on illegals last year. How can you? It's more than almost every other state combined. But of course, we're a sanctuary state. We welcome illegals. We now give them free health care over citizens.
Right, and we also, at least in California, allow them to murder California citizens like Kate Steinle and walk free. Exactly.
I had a incident that happened a few years back where a illegal immigrant that had been deported 3 or 4 times, a few times from Denver, from Utah. Well, now he's in Sacramento dealing drugs. He gets stopped by a police officer. He guns him down with an AK-47. It's a chase pursuits through the Sierra foothills. He guns down a police officer right behind my house.
Wow.
And when he went to court, he said, I didn't kill enough of you.
Wow.
This is a man that had been deported 4-5 times. But California, it's a sanctuary state. They don't care. They don't care about us citizens anymore.
Right. So the government has failed us throughout the United States with the open borders policies. Certainly on steroids, the California government has failed the California citizens, the law-abiding, tax-paying California citizens whose very lives are at risk, even law enforcement officers whose lives are at risk because of this open border sanctuary outrage. And so Trump came along and basically said, we've had enough. The American people have had enough. This is a second American Revolution. The elitists...
Yes, we're a nation of laws, and we haven't been enforcing our laws for years.
Right, absolutely. And the people at the top, the so-called ruling class, have been the most lawless of all. And Trump came, as we know, one of his slogans was, drain the swamp. And that put the very fear of God into these swamp creatures. And that, in my view, is one of the reasons why he's been under continual attack and investigation and persecution, and anyone who's associated with him, either his campaign manager, Paul Manafort, or his national security advisor, General Flynn, or long-term friend and associate Roger Stone. These people are all in jail or facing jail terms and have been bankrupted because of the criminal elite and their hatred of all things Trump. So would you say that it's hyperbole to say that the Democrat Party has declared war on America?
They have declared war on America as of yesterday.
Yes, they absolutely did declare war, with the exception, I think, of 3 Democrats. Every other Democrat in the House declared war on America and basically said the votes of 63 million patriotic Americans mean nothing. We are going to overthrow that in a coup and overturn, basically make your votes null and void.
Well, where the Democrats made their mistake is, I don't mind if they attack each other, but they attacked us.
Yes.
The voters. The people that voted for Donald Trump. They
Right.
call us racist. They call us white supremacists. We go to a rally, they're standing outside ready to beat us up. They break it. We put a bumper sticker on our car. They break our windows. They turn the mob loose on us. So it's not about Donald Trump anymore. It's about us.
Right. This is a war on America. We have seen, we've discussed offline, videos of actual just teenage children who made the quote mistake of wearing a Trump hat to their public school. They are mercilessly beat up on a public school bus with no protections by the bus driver, no protection by the school, no protection by the police. It's open season on Trump supporters in many parts of this country.
Well, it's war.
Right.
It's war. We're in the second Civil War right now.
Yes, absolutely. And in many places, we do have paid provocateurs, Antifa members who are paid by Soros and other foreign persons who are basically paid terrorists who go out and they beat up women, they beat up children, they beat up old people, they beat up anyone that they can get by with, to basically silence us and to bludgeon us into submission. And I recall the saying that the Japanese commander made after Pearl Harbor. He says, "We have made a terrible mistake. We have awakened a sleeping giant and filled them with a terrible resolve." And that's
exactly what is happening in the United States of America.
Right.
I was asked a question the other day by a friend. He asked me, "Do you have any people that harass you when you're working at the Trump booths, at the state fair, at the home shows or the car shows?" And I said, "Well, of course there's a few. They flash a vulgar sign at us, call us a name. But I think the majority of people are confused. They see black people, Asian people, Hispanic people in the booth with us, and they can't figure it out. They can't call us races anymore." So you see the look on their face of bewilderment. They don't know what's happening.
So really what this is a pro-American movement that involves people of every color, every background, every religious or non-religious background. These are just good, plain, red-blooded American people who just want their country back. Isn't that really what it's about?
They love this country. They just want it back.
Right.
We were asleep. We were raising our families, running our businesses, and as I say, we were asleep. And all of a sudden we woke up and things had changed. And we're not going to let this happen to us. Right.
And I think Donald Trump, my view is that God raised him up in the nick of time, because we were in a deep coma and the globalists were putting a pillow over our head, and they were basically silencing us forever. And
Donald Trump is Cyrus.
Right. He is Cyrus the Great. Yes, he is raising the alarm. He is basically serving as a deliverer of patriotic Americans from globalist tyranny, which had almost totally overtaken this country. He has given voice to the cries of the American people. And the more they oppose him, the more we recognize they oppose us. They hate us. They do. They hate our prosperity. They hate our liberty. They hate our First Amendment. They hate our Second Amendment. They hate our becoming strong and forceful and willful. And they hate the fact that they are going to be held accountable for their crimes that have put America in this terrible condition because they realize that we are coming for them. Legally, lawfully, peacefully, their crimes are being exposed and they will be prosecuted, and they are fearing for their lives and liberty because they have been sucking off the American people for decades, and finally we have said we've had it. We're not going to put up with it anymore. And Donald Trump has given voice to the silent majority of Americans.
As Peter Strzok, the FBI agent, in one of his text messages to his lover, he said, "I went to Walmart today. I could smell the Trump supporters."
Right.
They do hate us.
No, they have an absolute hatred. You're right. An absolute hatred, a visceral hatred for normal, common, hardworking, freedom-loving, gun-toting, Bible-believing Christian people. They hate us. They're elitists.
They are.
Yeah.
I follow some of the resistance groups. BAM out of Berkeley. Refuse Fascism. I signed up for their email to see what they're doing. They're scared to death. The emails I've got from all of these groups in the last few weeks, they're planning a violent protest if Trump gets reelected in 2020. Every one of their emails we will take to the streets violently. So they're not giving up.
Right. They're just becoming more extreme.
The battle has just started.
Right. Absolutely. Well, that's why we have started this new program. Let me just, as we wrap up for today, just talk about quickly some of the things that we want to do through these Patriot Connection podcasts that will be continuing throughout the election season until November the 2nd. We're going to be giving timely information about the presidential race, how you can get involved, and congressional races of pro-Trump candidates, because we want to take the House back. We want to get these Democrats out of power. They are nothing but parasites. So we're going to be talking about pro-Trump congressional races, both in California and in other places. We want to motivate you, our listeners, for active involvement. We want to give you involvement steps, websites, text addresses, how you can volunteer and how you can give, both to the national campaign, become part of that 5 million person army across this country, how you can support individual candidates that we're going to be highlighting. There are a lot of patriotic women who are running for the House of Representatives this year. We hope to unseat the over 41 Democrats that basically came into office in 2018, bring the House back into the control of the Republicans, so all three branches of government can be pro-American again. One thing we want to talk about today and leave with our listeners, Richard, you mentioned to me off air that there is a text name and number that people can go to volunteer for the Trump campaign. Can you give us that text?
Yes, if you want to join the Team Trump Volunteers, text Trump to 88022. That's Trump at 88022. They will send you a link via text message. Click on the link and it'll take you to the volunteer site, and the coordinators will get a hold of you.
Great.
So text Trump 88022.
Thank you, Richard. Thanks for joining us for the launch of this Patriot Connection. We'll be talking to you again soon, Richard.
Well, I enjoyed it, and I look forward to continuing this conversation and Trump 2020.
Absolutely. Well, friends, thank you for joining us for today's podcast. I look forward to seeing you again next time, and until then, this is David Schnitker. Thanks for listening.